Hey, welcome back to WonderCon. I am Heidi MacDonald, and finally, I've got my co-host,
Rosie Knight, it's me. I'm here again.
Rosie. Oh my God, how did this never happen before? How did we never team up like this before?
It
This
seems
is
like it's been way too long, and I can't kind of believe it. But here we are. We made it. We're in Anaheim. There's a rave going on.
Yeah.
Disneyland's next door.
Things are heating up.
It's a Sunday.
So, the way this all got started was when I was at TCAF and I was rooming with Bridget Alverson and Deb Aoki, and we would just talk at night when we got back to the room. And I said, why don't I just make a podcast out of this? And we called it Three Women in a Hotel Room. And so, we have just been sitting here, me and Rosie, and some of the extraneous folks you can't see in this video, let's just say it's like two women in a press room. It's really been impressive. But so Rosie, what have you been up to? What's been going on? What's your con been like?
Well, my mum came to this con. She has been to a convention before. We took her to LA Comic-Con a couple of years ago, but this was her first WonderCon, so she came on Friday. She actually picked up a comic, I think it was called First Americans.
Okay.
It was like, it was a dialogue-free comic about like the early days of like Siberia or something. I don't know, it was very intense, but she seemed to be enjoying it. Then yesterday I was here doing interviews. I interviewed Vita Ayala, who's amazing, and The Wild, Submerged, so we've interviewed them for the Beat, and the guys from the Dragon Prince too. So it's been just absolutely jam-packed, and seeing Buds, got a lot of great friends here who are exhibiting and stuff. So,
it is. I have to say, coming to WonderCon, it's like the vibe here is so laid back. So you really do get to just hang out with people, and just have like kind of fun.
And the artist alley is like really big and enjoyable, and it's also like not like San Diego where it's impossible to get a table, so you kind of get a good mix of like super rad artists who are making amazing comics, fan artists, and then obviously like a lot of tables with photo trace art.
Man, they had some really cool like belts and like purses. Like the leather work here, some of the crafting is incredible.
Dude, they have jewelry this year, which is like something I haven't really seen before. So it's like every kind of like jewelry, like Superman jewelry, Batgirl jewelry, everything. I was like, oh, this is like a lot. But I've tried to avoid the show floor too much to not spend any money.
I don't want to like. I mean, I could like lay down some serious cash on some of the stuff that they have here. So wait, go back to your mom. Like, so has she been to a Comic-Con before?
Yeah, she went one day to LA Comic-Con a couple of years ago where we just kind of popped in and out for an hour, and but she really likes it. She really likes the costumes and the cosplay. That's like a big thing for her that she enjoys. Right. And my little nephew, he loves superheroes and Spider-Man and stuff. So taking pictures of stuff like that, she got a picture with someone in a Pikachu costume. She took a couple of pictures of me with different Spider-Men. He was super into the Spider-Verse. So, and we took my mom to see Aquaman, so she's obsessed with Aquaman now. Yeah. So she was looking for any kind of Jason Momoa-centric. There actually wasn't anything.
Yeah, there was a lot of Shazams. A lot like Shazam, and some of them pretty good, I will say. Some, it's a range.
I saw a really good Shazam / Mary Marvel. It was just like a young girl, but she had the full classic suit with the short cape and everything. It was really cool. Yeah, Nick saw some good Atlantas, but I haven't seen any yet. So.
I think one of the cool things about WonderCon is that it has this kind of cosplay fairy garden outside. I think actually we got some footage there that looks pretty spectacular, but there's like a fountain, and then there's this like little palm walkway, and at night the cosplayers come out and they gather and they're shooting and there's lights.
And they're always like, as I was walking out this morning, there was like a girl and she was like holding like a glass ball standing in like a drapey dress on the fountain, and I was like, yeah, I get it. This is definitely a big cosplay show.
Yes, it is.
There's so many, it makes me feel really old. There's so many kids in costumes I like have no idea what they are.
Girl, now let me tell you, so I saw this is so humiliating. I can't believe I'm saying this on camera, but I saw there was this whole gang of guys and they were wearing these brown leather dusters, and I was like, oh, it must be Gambit, right? I was like, oh, are you guys all play Gambit? And they're like, we're not Gambit. we're from Devil May Cry. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know anime. I was like, it is not anime. It is a video game. I'm like, oh my God, what a fail. Oh crap. And I mean, they're all dressed as this one guy.
Yeah, I guess, is it Dante, I think, or
Probably,
something
it is,
like that?
it is.
I might be wrong, there's me getting
Well,
something
okay,
wrong, but
look,
yeah.
you know what? We are so busy reading comics, talking about
Yeah, I
comics,
don't know
living
anything about
comics.
video
We don't
games.
know anything, about these other
And this is like
these other
Mario.
fields.
I did see two cool girls. They were doing like Mario and Luigi in the carts, and they had these little cardboard carts.
Right,
It was very cute.
right.
But yeah, there's so much anime and manga.
There
cosplay.
was another costume at Emerald City where I was a couple weeks ago that people with green and black hair. Like suddenly I looked around the food court and like I'm not even exaggerating, every other person, including the waitress, is wearing this green and black wig. And I'm like, who is this? And so finally I went up and said, who are you? Oh, we're from My Hero Academia. I'm like, oh, okay, I know that. That's a manga and an anime. All right, I get it, okay? I saw a couple of them here, but
yeah, I saw one guy dressed up as All Might. So I think like the
Right.
My Hero Academia is definitely like slipping in.
yeah. What's the Critical Role?
Oh, I think when I was walking out of the press room yesterday, they were having a Critical Role gathering outside.
Yes.
To take photos. There was like 100 people.
It was crazy. So Rosie, I ran into you at the Tolkien panel.
Yes.
And we haven't really talked about the panel, but Nicholas Hoult playing Tolkien. What did you think of his answers and his
I thought he was
demeanor?
very sweet. I was surprised by the angle of the film, which seems to be very much like it's almost like it felt like Tolkien fanfic, like about like his like life and when he was young, and it was very sweet.
Yeah, that part where he found the sword under the porch. I mean, that was really weird.
There was like, yeah, it was very interesting. There was like a scene where like all the boys were like luxuriating on these pillows, drinking brandy, reading each other love poetry, and I was like, whoa, this is like slash fic.
Yeah,
like,
I know, right?
But no, I thought Nicholas he clearly loves Tolkien.
Yes.
And he's like very into it. And they obviously had this really nice experience of them and the the other three boys,
Right.
like kind of having this like bonding experience, drinking in the pub where Tolkien drank, drinking in lots of other pubs. Apparently they were doing a lot of drinking. And it was nice to see them kind of bond over this idea of like male friendship and kind of this, they kept saying about how it was this safe space in this like really harsh time for men to kind of have this space to express themselves and bond and stuff like that. I was hoping it would have like cast a critical eye on like modern readings of Tolkien and how like maybe his experiences in the war made him put some certain like racist analogies and that kind of reading of it stuff into the work, or at least have a conversation about it. But it's definitely like, Tolkien's amazing, there's going to be some dragons in a war, and all the people in it just love the project, which is the funnest part of going to a panel, is like if everyone who's on the panel just really, really loves what they're making.
Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't there for the whole panel because I actually had to duck out in the middle and it came back at the end. But whenever I saw Holt talking about it, like you said, it came across, he was very, very respectful of Tolkien and the material and very, very smart. I mean, he was really knowledgeable and I was impressed by that.
Yeah, they showed like a video of him talking to Lily Collins and about when he discovered Tolkien and how, and supposedly like when he was in About a Boy, when he was a little kid, the directors of that movie gave him Lord of the Rings to read, and that was like when he became, that he fell in love. So for him, it's really like a lifelong kind of passion for that material. And Lily Collins was actually saying she had auditioned to be one of the elves in, I guess it would have had to be the Hobbit trilogy, 'cause she's quite young, but then she was like, she didn't get it, but she ended up playing, I think, what was his wife called? Edith. And she ends up playing Edith, who inspired those characters.
Yes,
so it's kind of this fun
real,
like cycle.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I mean, most interesting part is that they didn't mention the Tolkien family at all.
Yeah.
You know, and Christopher Tolkien. So I say Tolkien, they said Tolkien, you know, bananas, tomato. Anyway. So Christopher Tolkien is either 95, 96. He is incredibly old, and he for a long time controlled the Tolkien estate and would not allow them to do anything.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, the board said, you know what, dude, here's your watch. It's time to retire. And then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, Amazon. Oh yeah, biopic. I mean, yeah. And I think they were like, oh, you know, Amazon, what is it they gave them? Like,
it's like
$200 million.
It's going to be the most expensive TV show of all time.
Yeah, but I mean, the licensing fee
I can't even imagine.
for it also was quite a bit. And you know what? Why shouldn't his family have that money?
Well, a thing that I was really interested about that they didn't really touch on either is like Fox doesn't own the rights to Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or anything. So like I don't necessarily know how they're going to talk about those. It seems like it's going to be his stories.
Well, I think orc is in the public domain. That's an actual
okay.
word.
Well, I
right?
did notice the stuff that they actually showed, the more fantastical stuff. It was like it looked like it was from a Tolkien movie without being specific. So I think it's going to be more implication.
It was from the Sword of Shannara.
Yeah.
or the Belgariad, or Dungeons and Dragons.
And exactly, it's a dragon. It's a guy on a horse who looks kind of like an orc, and it's more like those are going to be kind of implied things. But I was interested because I always find like licensing and rights stuff interesting, but on it.
Oh wow. So Rosie, anything else that was really fun at the show for you, or?
I always like seeing kind of the artist alley and the books of the people that I got a lot of cool friends, Dave Baker and Nicole Gu. I'm going to be interviewing Dave later about like Watchmen and panels and that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
My friend's James F. Wright, who just announced a comic with Legendary. He has some great books. Like, it's nice to see stuff in physical. I feel like when you're friends with people, you often just send each other PDFs.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I love this comic. It's so great. And it's nice to just like have things to hold in your hand. But yeah, I'm a big fan of a good artist alley. It always feels really nice.
Yeah.
I saw that her universe they do like a fashion design thing,
right.
and like
They're
little
very
kids
big
can
on
go.
that, yeah.
So I saw these really cool pictures of like little kids dressed as Sailor Moon and like Sailor Scouts, and they're like designing their own costumes, like inspired by Captain Marvel and stuff. And I love that side of cons.
There's a lot of creativity at the show, and I mean, talking about the cosplay. I mean, the makeup here is so much better than any other makeup at cosplay, because they are pros. I mean, it'll be like matte, that's what they do. I mean, a lot of them are makeup professionals, and like when you walk by a blue person, it looks like they have blue skin. It's really, really amazing. So yeah, you know what? I've been talking a lot about how, this is the third show in a row, and a lot of people have been really dragging. And one of the people that I know has been on the road is our good friend Henry Barajas. Hey, dude, how's it going, man?
It's good. It's good to be third show of the month.
Right. So you've done this, and what else?
I did C2E2 last week, which was an amazing show. A lot of people from Ohio, like just Midwest kind of vibe. Everyone's really proud of that, Chicago Con. And then the week before that, I was at Latino Comics Expo, which was in Modesto, California. Celebration of Latinx, Latino, Latina, Chicana, Chicano.
That's great.
Creators. No, it's great, yeah.
But how do you feel having done 3 shows in a row?
I don't recommend it to anybody. Don't do 3 shows in a row unless you want to die sooner.
Okay, well, yeah, there's a lot of wear and tear, and thank God this is over for a lot of us. As I keep saying, my parts are wearing out, so, we got to start taking care of them.
There's also Planet Comic-Con. And,
yes, there is another.
There's so many shows.
Yeah,
it's like a county fair every weekend.
One thing, just to wrap this up though, I would say, we've been doing a lot of media interviews here at the show, talking about some movies, some TV shows, and a lot of women. I mean, it's been really amazing. We had DC Superhero Girls, and then we were doing Marvel Rising this morning, which has a predominantly female cast. Dark Phoenix as the female character. And I've asked several times to the producers, to the people involved, I said, why is the time right now for having these women superheroes? And they all said, now I don't know if this is a line, I'd never heard it before, but this is what they're saying. Oh, I love that Rosie's.
I know, right?
Yeah, there's like, they're from the comics, because they showed that the comics, they've been really popular in the comics, so the time was right. So yeah, what's your...
Well, no, this is like a new line. Like, I feel like this is the line is like, well, now they discovered that like girls read comics or something, and it's like, but that has always been a market. Right. Even if you go back to like the earliest days of like the golden age, Superman, stuff like that, when they talk about those demographics, it was like a generic kid demographic. There wasn't 50 million boys buying Superman, it was like, and it's kind of this, it's like, I feel like I'm happy those things are happening, but I also feel like it's kind of a modern myth, the idea that girls didn't read comics.
Well, I mean, this has been my life's work.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've listened to anything I've done, or, over the last, 500 years, this is my life's work, is proving that girls read comics. I guess what's interesting to me, though, is that to see, like TV and movie producers using the comics as the excuse for this, and or as being the thought leader, I guess.
I do think that a lot of it comes from like the Raina doing so well with like YA comics and having like multiple books on New York Times bestseller list. It has made the corporate side of production companies realize that there is a cynically like money-driven market for comics,
Right.
whereas before it was less about the actual statistics of whether or not women and girls read comics and more about the perception of comics as something for boys or men. And I think that is a big part of it, because like even like one of the most famous old stock photos of someone reading a comic is like a little black girl reading a comic at a newsstand in like the 50s.
Use that photo all the
It's
time.
so wonderful. I'm always trying to source like the young girl's name, but it's been hard to find. But like, so even from the oldest days, like women have always read comics and have been a part and have made comics.
Yeah.
Like that's a big thing that I'm trying to like let people know as well. So it's kind of, I'm glad that these places are happening, but I do think that it's funny that that's the line.
Right.
Because it's not necessarily.
Right. Have
a
you heard
factual-
any-
Yeah, I don't know if you ladies know, but women read comics.
Oh, come on, Henry, get out of town. Yeah.
No, but seriously, it's good. You know, it's refreshing. You know, how many times we get a Batman movie, how many times we get a Spider-Man movie. I think Hollywood is kind of spent, and they need new, you know, films and ideas, and they're tapping into the other 50% of the market finally.
Right.
I just hope it's not a trend. Like,
Well, I
because
would
like you
hope
said, you had
so.
like 50 Batman movies, so it's like, are they gonna have 50 Captain Marvel movies, or with a different woman playing Captain Marvel?
Sure,
Not necessarily
let's do
something
it.
I would want, but like, do they want like? I would love like a Storm movie. That
Yeah.
seems
Right.
like the most obvious
Yeah.
thing, you know.
Well, you
a
know,
Zatanna movie.
Hey, Kevin Feige, if you were listening, we want to see Storm.
Yeah.
We want a
Storm movie.
Storm
That's
movie.
the Storm movie.
And then
like-
also got to make a movie based on Henry's comic too.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely a storm.
Tata Rambo. No, I'm just saying.
No,
yeah.
yeah.
the
yeah.
optioning, you know.
Yeah,
You never know.
You never know what's
The
going to
IP
happen.
of comics.
Yeah, it's all over. It is our world, and we are just making videos about it. So, well, listen, it's been great, Rosie. We got to do this. This is
Yes.
it. We're the new. This is like you're my co-host.
Like Regis and
yeah,
Kathy?
yeah, and then
I'm Regis.
Yeah, and then you know Henry, of course, anytime. Like
Yeah.
you, my homies. Anything. You're welcome.
Ride or
to
die.
Yeah, ride or die, ride or die. And you know what? Thank you so much, everyone. And remember,
Read the beat.
We're
just getting
started.